Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Saturday morning and your live smack attack. No, ladies and gentlemen, I am not your Scottish brogue, your James McIvor. I am John Enright, the one and only, the man of no talent whatsoever, apparently, because,
No, wait a minute. Wait one
well,
second. No,
well,
we're not going to just sit
well,
here and run down the great John Enright.
I mean,
Before we even introduce me, we're not going to do that.
okay, well, yes,
Let
we'll do
me
that.
run you down
Thank you.
and
Okay,
bury you
okay,
and
that's what
everything. But yeah, who are you and who am I?
Yeah, exactly. So as your current and uh, long distant Smack Attack host, John and I here, but I'm also joined by the voice of the one and only, the man of many talents, the man of multiple shows, the vet has joined us here today for a very special Smack Attack. So, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the vet, as always.
Oh,
Yay! The
hello.
woo!
Hello. I didn't see you guys there. Oh, oh wow.
Uh,
I'm a little flustered. Uh,
Yes. The studio audience is going wild.
yeah,
So, as a matter of fact, Lab Rat is already chanting your name.
yeah. That. It's like it's
Here-
the record scratch thing too. Like you know what I mean? Like Big Ray's theme song for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
He's
that's
very he loves that theme song.
oh man. I think he would marry it if he could.
I think he probably has, and I don't think he's told his current
His
wife
current wife. Yeah.
that there's a
Yeah.
side piece which is nothing but a piece of music that he produced specifically to intro me on the next
Right.
level wrestling review. But
Yeah.
they use it everywhere. I'm surprised they didn't give it to you guys too, just in case I showed up. So
I don't know.
I guarantee you, if you ask him, he'll give it to you. But anyway,
I'm sure he
but
will.
how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. So it's been 2 weeks. So in case anybody hasn't known, I was supposed to be starting a new job Monday
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID situation stuff. Basically, I hadn't gotten the shot. I was kind of on the fence about it. They said, well, I asked about exemptions. HR didn't talk to me until this week, and they said, well, if we go with the exemptions, you might not have a job Monday because we'd have to wait to go through that. And I was like, okay, well, so if I get the shot, will I have a job? And they made it imply that I did if I got the shot, and I would start on Monday. So after much talking with different people, I went and got the shot Wednesday night, and I let them know at 4:45 that I was going to get the shot that day to, continue the process. And then on Thursday morning, they said, okay, great, we'll talk about this on Thursday morning. And when I called Thursday morning, they said, yeah, we're going to move forward with other candidates. And I said, so I got the shot for nothing. And they're like, oh, I mean, so basically, yeah. So I'm not going to a new job, but the good thing is my current job is allowing me to stay on. I did get a pay bump with staying on. They're making some changes. A lot of things are happening. So it's good in a way. The way gas prices are right now, I was going to be driving 40 minutes one way to
Ugh.
the new job. I'm still got a 5-minute drive. My son's got some stuff to take care of this summer for school. So I'm able to kind of do that a lot easier. So it works out in the long run. I mean, I'm not getting the 44 grand I was going to get at a pay bump, from 26.9, but I'm at 31.2 now, and which is fine, and I'm living in the area, so I'm able to make things work and everything along those lines. So, but it was pretty shitty to find out that you're not getting a job even after you did what they asked of getting the shot. So
So I hope you learned a valuable lesson about life with this story here, John, which
mhm,
is never compromise yourself for what somebody dangles in front of you.
yeah,
In
no,
fact, if any, it's always got to be a case of, we talk about this in various aspects. Sometimes it's in unfortunate situations, like such as, you know, domestic abuse, like when we talked about the whole, the Kimberly and
hmm
whatever the prison tattoo kid name is, I don't even care.
yeah,
But talking about that and things, it's I say in all situations, in all aspects of life, always stand up for yourself
mhm,
first, even if it's not comfortable, even if you think there may be repercussions. You gotta stand up for yourself, stick with your convictions, whatever you believe is the right thing to do for you, and
yeah,
other people have to fall in line to accommodate you because nobody cares about you as much as you do. So
true,
even if it is like, oh well, it's a better job, it's a better opportunity, and all these other things. Sometimes in the end, it kind of worked out, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, it did. So,
and
and I
if
mean,
you had told them like, yeah, I'm just not doing that, maybe they would have been like, oh, well, we need to fill this position, so just whatever, just start on Monday. You never know what
right.
could have happened.
Yeah, and which I kind of did, and they were like, "Well, we can't move forward if you don't do the shot, and if you don't get the exemptions, well, that'll delay." And I'm like, "Okay, why would an exemption?" Which, by the way, I had a good religious one, and there I was like, "Why would that delay?" Well, our president has to see it. Well, give it to your president. I mean, I wrote it
Right.
out, but they were like, "It's going to delay you starting on Monday," and I'm like,
It
"Why?"
already sounds like the kind of thing where you're going to get a lot of that the entire time you'd be there.
Yeah,
Like just people giving you the runaround because you know
yeah,
because reasons.
and I mean, it's apparently from what my executive director, where I had to call her to tell her I wasn't in the job, and she says, "You're more than welcome to stay. We want you to stay. We don't want you to go." Kind of thing. She said that agency has lost more people and they have more open positions than we have staff in our agency because of this whole COVID shot thing and requiring it and everything like that. So I didn't know that going in. That was the deal. So it was just kind of, it felt very shitty that the HR lady, I felt like she was covering her own ass because she didn't ask anything about COVID or
Of course.
anything until I was getting the onboard and I was reading some stuff. Got down and says, okay, make sure when you show up you have your identifications for your W-9, where your driver's license, your social security card, and your COVID card. And I was like, I don't have a COVID card, and that was Tuesday of this week. And so now she's like screaming, well, you never said anything about not having the shot. And I said, you didn't ask. I shouldn't have to say anything. And I said, besides, I did mention it in our first interview with the person who interviewed me. And they mentioned that there's our receptions and that HR would talk to me about that. And she wanted nothing to do with that kind of stuff. The lady just wasn't listening. When I
Hmm.
said, I'd like to look at the religious exemption, she says, okay, well, I need to see a doctor's note. And I was like, why do I need a doctor's note? It's a religious exemption. And she's like, but I need to hear from your doctor. It's like, but ma'am, I'm looking at a religious exemption. I don't need a doctor's note.
Right.
And she finds like, oh, well, what religion are you? I'm like, I'm Christian. Does it matter? I mean, it uses aborted fetal cell lines, which are not, which are against my religion. And I gave her chapter and verse of verses that I could use for it. And she was like, yeah. So it felt like she didn't want to deal. Like she was one of these people that everybody should get vaxxed, and if you're not going to do it, I'm not going to let you do it because she wasn't really listening.
Probably.
And so anyway, I'm
Well,
glad.
you know what the worst part about this whole thing is that's why we missed the smack attack for 2 weeks.
Exactly, dealing with all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, and weddings. I had lots of weddings.
Oh well, yeah.
Lots of
I guess
weddings. So
right.
that when someone pays you $325 to show up at their wedding to officiate it, I mean, you do it.
Tell them they need to work more, get married more in Saturday evenings.
Right.
Like Saturday evenings is the deal. They need to get married. You don't wake up bright and early and just get married. What the hell's wrong with people?
I
On a
don't
weekend
know.
too?
Well, I mean, that's the hard part. I have to drive 2 hours, and James is available from like normally 11 o'clock my time. So like last week, I literally could do 20 minutes before I'd have to drive to go to this wedding because people are having weddings at 3 and 4 in the afternoon, and I'm having to leave at like 12 or 1 to drive 2 hours to McKinney for a wedding, and it's just like, what the hell? Like, why are y'all doing these early afternoon weddings? Like nobody's getting married at 7 o'clock at night anymore. It's all like 3, 4, maybe 5. 5 is really late now, to have a wedding. I'm going, this is so weird. Like,
We can't wait to drink that long.
Dude, I think that's what it is. People are getting wasted at their receptions. They are just getting tore up, because I mean, it's not like I officiate very long weddings. If you incorporate everything that you want a unity ceremony, reading, I take maybe 10 minutes total for a ceremony. So it's not like the ceremony part's going to be,
Right.
super long. You're going to have
less time than a bloodline entrance.
Exactly. Or Roman Reigns on the microphone. Less time on all those things. So, I don't know. But hey, it's $325 for the work. I'm not going to be mad at a side gig like that. So, weddings sometimes will take priority over the show. But that's the case. And James has just been his job. Apparently, they've lost workers, so he's doing everything right now, trying to keep up with the store. So he's not getting out of there until sometimes later than normal. So that dude's been running around ragged with work too. So sometimes life happens, guys, and the Smack Attack, has to take a break just so that we can live life and pay bills. So, that's where we've been for the last 2 weeks. But we're back. We're going to be doing a different style show today. It's going to be unique. A lot of talking points, a lot of different stuff. James is he's on his way. Look, I'm on my way, like he says in the proper Scottish.
Guy.
He's going to be
it's
there.
Like an indie rock album cover.
I know, right? Yeah, look at that picture again. Look at that.
Oh, bro.
He's trying to. I think he's trying to. That's his acting. That might be his actor, headshot type thing.
I bet it is.
Yeah,
it is. Looks like he got kicked out of Oasis or something.
Got kicked out of Oasis. Oh my god. Okay, so that's Vet. How have you been, man? It's been a while since I talked to you. So
good. Just same old stuff. Not much changes with me. I'd be sure to let y'all know if it did. But just been what have I been doing lately? Well, the Best of Super Juniors is going on. I see your New Japan shirt right there.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not normally like, I like all the junior guys, I guess. Okay, but I don't really get too excited about the junior wrestling that much. But I just like seeing the new faces and seeing how they kind of, as a worker, I look at how they sort of work with each other. Like, right. I find that much more fascinating. I've seen plenty of exciting matches with flips before. So that's really not going to do anything for me, but just seeing like different talents have matches that we haven't seen before is usually pretty interesting. So seeing guys like Ace Austin, who I have to cover every week on the Impact Attack, and now he's getting to get in there and mix it up with some guys. And, and then there's, what's his name? Alex Zane, which...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I'm not too much of a fan of his, but maybe he'll win me over,
Yeah.
Just seeing him a couple of times here and there.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say?
Well, Wheeler Yuta,
oh, right. That's another thing, because he just started getting like a massive push.
Yeah.
And now he has to take it into, a whole new company with a whole new mindset, and he's not really done that before, even though he is like at least half Japanese, I think. I forget if he said it's like his mom or his dad, but
right.
But yeah, so and that's a funny thing. Let's talk about Wheeler Yuta for a second, because like it's clear that they thrust him into something that I don't really know that he's there,
right?
But isn't that kind of the point? Like, isn't the idea that they take somebody that's not quite there and get him there? Is it not? Do we want to see like these guys, as a work and as a shoot, kind of develop this kid before our very eyes? I think a lot of the criticisms that he's gotten, while valid, are kind of also like why he needs to be the guy. Like, they saw something in him that they could turn him into, not what he is now.
Right.
So kind of doing a thing like this where it's like a somewhat grueling, long tournament and stuff, and working with different people every night. That can level you up really quick in a short period of time. And this month that he's going to be down there, he's probably going to gain like at least the equivalent of like 4-5 years of experience wrestling guys in bingo halls and stuff like that. So,
right.
So that'd be good for him. But what do you think about Wheeler Yuta and the whole situation from AEW and stuff?
Well, I found it very interesting because, like you said, he's got the push. He's got the RH Pure title. It was one of these things. And then, all of a sudden I was watching the announcement live, of who they were going to have. And I was going, okay, this is cool. Some of your regular guys. And all of a sudden they had Ace Austin. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Then they started like El Linderman. I was like, oh, okay, that's very cool. And then, they just started introducing some of these different people. Alex Zane, who we've met before, nice guy, but he's one of those high risk, high reward kind of guys. But when he doesn't, boy, it's going to hurt in a bad way. And that's, I think that's the thing about Alex Zane, that he's going to go for it, and it's going to be 50-50 if it's going to turn out good or not. That's the one, I think, thing about him, and that makes me like him being in this tournament makes me go, is he going to do that? Like, so is he going to have to tamper down his high risk, high reward thing, or is he just going to have to come in and work? So I'm interested to see how I've got to catch up on some of the matches. I haven't watched all of them yet.
He does like maybe a little bit of what he normally does. But yeah. I mean, you can imagine like him being in there with a guy like Kanemaru, and Kanemaru just being like, "Yeah, we're not doing that."
Yeah,
I mean, like
Kanemaru, like, "Fuck that shit,"
Yeah, I ain't doing that. Fuck that. So that's good. But then if there's other guys that are more reckless, that they want to get a little bit wild, but
yeah, I could see him and Wheeler Yuta doing like that's the thing. I'm interested to see like Wheeler Yuta, because if he seems to be able to. Because I've seen him in high-flying New Japan matches. When he was in a match with New Japan, when they were here in Dallas, when Suzuki was here, he was in a 10-man. It was like him and Will Alday and all these guys. And so they were doing a little bit more high-flying stuff against the dojo guys. But then we've also seen him do the pure wrestling and be part of the Blackpool Combat Club, and be a more serious wrestler. So I'm interested to see how he fits with everybody. Like, will he go more high flying with a guy like Alex Zane, and then in Kanemaru just pure wrestling and try to beat the shit out of each other? That style switch will he do, or will he pick a style and just stick with it for this tournament? Because he is coming in with that pure championship, heritage and title. So is that kind of more in the Blackpool Combat Club? So is it now he's going to get away from the high flying shit and focus? Like I said, I'm way behind. I've got to start catching up on it. I've just with everything going on with the thing of maybe my office is clear because I thought I was getting out, and then finally I'm not. So, trying to get everything done. I just haven't had time to watch, and I'm going to start catching up here in a little bit, probably this week. But I think he's the most interesting character as far as being in this Best of Super Juniors, as has the potential to either be near the top for the outsiders that have been brought in, but he has also wrestled for New Japan regularly before. So it's not like he's a complete outsider, because he's done a lot of stuff with Strong and a lot of stuff with on the tours out here. So
as we know, John, Strong don't count.
Well, yeah, apparently,
that's not it's a whole different world when you go on a real overseas tour.
True.
So I think that's what he's getting a taste of now, which he needs.
Yeah.
Because like he kind of is still a little bit. I'm going to say this word that's sort of all encompassing. I don't mean it to sound insulting. I just mean it's something that needs work. But he just seems a little soft still.
Yeah.
Like he's got to have like a vicious gimmick, or at least points where he turns up the viciousness. Mm-hmm. But he's still and he has a good looking face, but his body's still a little lean, and some of his stuff does not look snug. So he's got some of the wrestling, but he doesn't have the poise. Right. I guess is the best way to say it. You know how a guy like Okada or whatever will just stand there and look at you. Like he's going to take his time, and he's not going to do anything that's too fast or anything. Like he's in total control, or guys like Jay White or those things, right?
Right.
And if Yuta wants to get in that main event mindset, he's got to be that, and he can't be like the indie guy that's worried that the fans are going to get bored.
Right.
He has to know that he's in control. That's one of the things that's missing. Skills-wise, he just needs to tighten some of his stuff up. I mean, his stuff is fine, but he just needs to tighten it up. And he needs to get the poise of a killer if he's going to play one. If he wants to play the goofy best friends, that's a different character. But he needs the poise of a killer, and I'd like to see if he comes out of it with that. Or if he's smart enough to tell the story in his 10 matches, or his 9 matches, if he can tell the story of a guy who's coming in a little bit wet behind the ears and comes out like a little bit more, rugged and battle weary. Is he that good? Is he that smart? Can he do that? Or will he just have 9 matches that are similar? I don't know. Right. We'll see. He's only had 2 so far. He's 1-1. So
yeah.
We'll see. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah,
yeah.
that's Wheeler Yuta.
And here's my question. Lab Rat brings this up. Does him being on BTE, being beat up by Stratlander every week, does that affect how you view him? But I mean, if he
It
does,
would if I watch BTE,
yeah,
brother.
yeah,
Who watches that?
I do.
Oh, huh?
Mm,
You watch it.
yeah, I get bored
Well, then
sometimes.
you answer your own question. Then, do you think that's a road to climb out of? Then honestly,
I think it is because there was in BTE he would always get beat up. They would look at his matches, and Stratlander would always jump him and tap him out. And then it was just when he was with the best friends, it was always just kind of that goofiness. And then all of a sudden, it went from that to I want to be in the Blackpool Combat Club, and I was. It's like this flip switch, and it was almost hard to kind of take in a way because you went from this goofy character, then all of a sudden you switch to this like I'm gonna be a badass kind of guy, and it was it's taken a while for me to kind of I've accepted it, but it really has taken those moments for me to like really get it, and I think they did a good job on between Rampage and Dynamite of slowly working his way through Daniel Bryan, John Moxley, and giving him what we felt was good matches, and then getting the Regal slap at first, but then the handshake later on. I feel like they if you paid attention and watched that, they made that transition easier, but the desire to want to be there felt a little forced, because he was already kind of entrenched with best friends. If he was just like on the fringe and not on the t-shirts and not whatever, if he was just a guy kind of run around, then best friends would have him every now and then. That would be different, but he was in a group, and then really, he just kind of 180'd, and I don't know. That was the harder part, but the transition did kind of get me there finally. But how why he wanted to, there was no explanation, no why I'm leaving this group for this group or whatever. It was just 180. Here we go, do
yeah.
that. And
Well,
I mean,
that's
yeah.
pro wrestling in a nutshell these days.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean,
I can't even just blame AEW for that. They everybody kind of does that. One other thing, just real quick. I know that this is not the Jimmy Yuta show for all of you guys that are watching. We don't. But that was my question. Like that's how I first saw him. He called himself Jimmy Yuta. He was in MLW. He was tagging with somebody. I can't remember who he was tagging with when I saw him. I want to say Fred Yehai, but I don't think that's right. But anyway, it was one of those guys like that. And then he like just shows up one day and he's Wheeler Yuta. I don't know what the change was. So do you know anything about that, or
I don't, because I first saw him on Amazon when they did that Dojo Pro, ladder tournament show, and he was on there, as Wheeler Yuta. So, I don't know if like he couldn't be Wheeler because of whatever for MLW or whatever. So I've always known him as Wheeler Yuta. Because when he was on that Dojo Pro show, he had the white belt for a while, working his way up to beat Jeff Cobb or whoever, and so that's kind of how I was introduced to him. And so, and then Jackson Stone and him are best friends. So I've always known him as Wheeler because that's what Jackson calls him. And I mean, even though that's not their real names either, but they have real names. But
his name's not Jackson with an X? Really?
No, it is not.
That's not on the birth certificate?
No, it is not. It's very surprising what his full name is, but it's one of those things where that's how I always known him, between knowing him through Jackson and seeing him on a Dojo Pro. I didn't know he ever went by Jimmy, so that's news to me per se.
All right.
So,
All right. Well, in other news, James, what else has been going on in the WWE lately? I think you were mentioned something about. We were talking before, and you mentioned something about a certain McMahon that.
Yeah. So apparently, Wednesday or Thursday of this week, a tweet went out by Stephanie McMahon saying she is stepping away from her business duties right now to focus on family. It's definitely. Kind of out of nowhere. People have, a lot of WWE people have said they were caught by surprise by this. It was something that was not expected by what most people are saying. So, it is something that literally came out of left field for a lot of people. And she's because this was May 19th. So she says, as of tomorrow on the 20th, I will take a leave of absence from the majority of my responsibilities at WWE. WWE is a lifelong legacy for me, and I look forward to returning to the company that I love after taking this time to focus on my family. So that is the tweet from her verified Twitter account to say that
she should have just said, "I'm leaving." That's the tweet.
Yeah.
Like these people like to say.
Yeah, I know, but that's hers. So, of course, we know Triple H has had his health issues and things along those lines. They have 4 kids. Who knows where? We don't really know where he's at as far as his health goes. We've seen him a little bit, but to be honest, could there be bigger issues with his health than we know? And she's having to maybe stay home and help take care of some stuff with the kids or him. It leaves a lot to be desired because now Shane's gone, Stephanie's gone, Triple H is gone. If Vince does something, who's it going to be? It's going to be Nick Khan is the guy, right? So
you're my new son now.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the way it's looking. So, or is this, they're stepping out because they know Vince is going to sell.
Well, she said she already said she was coming back. So, why pigeonhole yourself into saying that if you didn't actually plan on it? I don't know. Good question
wrestlers.
though.
There's wrestlers. I mean, how many times have they said stuff and stuff's not been happened or real or anything like that? Oh yeah, AEW was supposed to have pay across the board and health insurance for everybody, but that hasn't happened yet. So. But they said it was going to happen.
Well, they overpaid the guy that has no legs, so they couldn't afford health insurance for everybody. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. What do we know exactly what Stephanie's daily duties are? Because at one point, and this point being, I want to say around 2002, it was sort of public knowledge that, at least for anybody who's willing to look, because the internet wasn't quite as ubiquitous as it is now, at least it wasn't in everybody's pocket, that she was put in charge of creative. So Stephanie McMahon, head of creative, 2002. Coincidentally, around the time that the entire business started going down the tubes, but you can draw your own conclusions of whether that's a direct result or not.
Right.
But we know she's done that. But apart from that, what is Stephanie responsible for?
So I know she's listed on, the leadership and, with the stocks and everything as chief brand officer. Wait a minute. And Cody just came back?
Yeah. And now Stephanie's stepping away and they don't have a chief brand officer? I have an idea, John.
Yeah. We think, brand
Red Velvet. That's exactly who we should bring in to head up the debate. All right, but anyway, continue.
Yeah. No, so that's her listed. So that means, she's about the image of WWE. She's out she's the one, she goes out and speaks on behalf of WWE. She's kind of their ambassador. I know she did a talk talking about how philanthropy is the new advertising for brands like WWE and things along those lines. That was something.
What a WWE thing to say.
Yeah, well,
so tone deaf you don't even hear the words coming out of your mouth as being offensive.
Right. I know.
That's like the perfect microcosm of everything wrong with that company.
Exactly.
Let's try to show everybody how good of baby faces we are.
I know, and because I remember because Hameen talked.
Speaking of baby faces,
hey, how we doing? Thanks for your patience. Thanks for stalling for half an hour.
We just got started talking about Stephanie McMahon and her.
We're professionals.
Departure.
We stall all the time. We're just like an episode of Smackdown. We do recaps and everything to buy time.
Exactly.
This is like just kind of jumping the Stephanie McMahon thing. This sounds very Game of Thronesy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like, I'm gonna take a leave of absence, and Nick Khan's just like, more.
Well, somebody,
he's got his claws right in there.
Somebody did on Twitter. They did what is it? Mortal Kombat, where you're climbing the tower, and they showed Nick Khan has defeated Triple H and moved off to Stephanie. Now is working his way up to Vince McMahon. But yeah, I mean, as we just said, Stephanie said she's wanting to come back. It's a lifelong legacy, but she's going to take time with her family. So we're trying. And then Vet and I were talking about what her actual title is, and she's the chief brand officer.
Chief brand officer, yeah. She's like, her job's like just going to events and just start plugging, just saying, "Oh, we do such philanthropy." And stuff like that. It's a nothing job, really.
Which I told him, the Vet, Stephanie has actually been, was doing a talk and said that philanthropy is the new advertising for companies like them, and which is something she has been documented saying. And so it's like, as a person who works for as a person who works for a nonprofit, that just makes you feel really, really gross and dirty. That's what you're doing is, it makes you go, as a person who works for a nonprofit, it kind of makes you go, why are you doing this? Is this because you want the clout and want everybody to say, hey, look at me? Or is it because you really care? So, and hey, Elizabeth.
Hello.
We can start the show. James has made it. Elizabeth has made it.
Elizabeth and I just started
coincidentally at the same time also.
I don't know. So, yeah. So,
no comment.
But, it's one of those things, I think, is this Stephanie stepping out? Triple H is gone. We don't know if he has, more health issues than we thought. Or is it really more the fact that, Nick Khan has kind of worked his way and Vince is getting ready to sell all, so she's not left the company, but if they sell, she makes a whole shitload of money from the sell that they get because she's still technically an officer of the company. So
when in that sort of position, you'd hardly say I'm leaving because this place is terrible. No, not. Like you don't want to hurt.
And it's your family business.
Although they did do other questionable business decisions this week, we'll get to. But this was one of them. It's like I'm away. I can understand it if there's like things going on. Like you say, Triple H is getting on a bit. I mean, their kids must be getting to a certain age now where things are happening, like the college, high school. Life things,
when they need their parents the least and want their parents the least.
Yeah.
Hey, stranger things have happened, Yeah.
Tell me, as a dad of a 16-year-old who,
maybe they've just had that moment where Triple H has nearly died. Their kids are going away to do other things. Maybe it's like, we need another baby. This house is empty now.
Oh, God.
Right, I've heard this rumor, right? I've heard this, and I'm not buying it for a second. I'm absolutely not having it. Like, you would know about it by now. It would be out there. When you take Trips nearly dying, for it to be like, I need another man. Like,
I can't be married to no weak bitch with a heart condition.
I can't be having sex with you and you die on me. Oh, that sucks.
I need stamina.
Right.
Why did I say like Vince there? That's weird.
Oh, because she would say that because she says you're fired like he does. So,
well, it shouldn't sound like he does when she says it, but yes,
he tries to do the same. He tries to do the "you're fired,"
oh my God, that's so sexy.
I can see that right now. Oh my God.
I don't know. There's nothing really much to read into it just now, apart from the fact that it was a out of nowhere thing. No one expected. Some people said that she wasn't as involved as she was originally, but then there's this whole. A lot of the staff in the office were blindsided by this.
Right.
So who's to know how quickly this has happened? This could have been months in the pipeline, and she's kept it quiet. I mean, the only really other person that she could talk to about it is her dad, really. Right. So I suppose they don't have to really share that out. But yeah, bit of an odd one. A bit of a morale kicker, I'd imagine. That's more of it, for my opinion, is if you're in the office and you hear that, it's a bit of a kicker knowing that that's another McMahon gone. That's probably someone who's been in the gears and the cogs ever since she pretty much walked into the company, really, when she was such a young one. Once she come pretty much as soon as she finished university, she was in the business side of things. So
but I mean,
that's a long time.
And then you got to look at this from a stock option standpoint too. You have not only a family member, but a major officer of the company who just is now stepping away. This can't be good for your stocks because, it's like, okay, what's happening here? So,
she did sell up not long ago in a lot of stock, didn't she?
Right, but she's still involved.
Oh, still a lot. Yeah.
I mean, she's still a major officer of the company. So to have that as well, it makes you go, okay, well, really, it's going to be this next coming up week. What's going to happen to the stock prices? Because that was the 19th. So that was a Thursday afternoon or evening. So the 20th, which is a Friday. So it probably didn't hit the markets as bad on a Friday. And so it'll be Monday, Tuesday, the beginning of next week. We'll start to really see the effects of the stock markets of how this affects it. If it does, I don't know. But I don't know of any company that has a major officer of the company go, hey, I'm taking some time to step away, and they don't get a little bit of a hit at the stock market. It's just, because there's always questions of why is this person stepping away? What's going on? And that affects the stability of the company and the stock price. So
you would imagine if
business Saturday, yay.
Business. I can imagine before we move on, but I can imagine that if sort of information got leaked out or passed on to stockholders before this was announced, then it would maybe have helped the stock price. But because this came out of nowhere, then it's more damaging than anything. Speaking of damaging, I want to get the thoughts in on this before you go anywhere, John. It does get brought up on Smackdown pretty bluntly on commentary from Michael Cole. We are talking about the Sasha Banks Naomi situation. Sasha Banks Naomi reportedly walked out on Raw, put their, as we were led to believe, put their belts on the table and fucked off. Sure. And it's are you in the camp at some work?
No, but
it's.
But I want to before John gives his thoughts on it, I just want to say one thing. Look, I've loved being on the show with you guys. You guys have really made me feel welcome. We get along great. I like to feel that we are friends, and I have enjoyed being able to take you guys who are you're on the periphery of the wrestling business, so you're civilians in a way. And you're not as privy to the inner workings of this messed up circus. Okay. So, but I'd like to think that being able to be on with you and talk with you and share things with you and provide the insights to all the times when you say, I don't know what they're thinking. And then me saying, well, I don't know either, but it's something to do with this. And so I really am waiting for you guys to make me proud with your thoughts on this situation, because there is a right answer. When it comes to whose side who is on. So I cannot even wait to hear it, but you guys better not disappoint me, my sons.
Gee, that's not pressure or anything. Fuck.
At all. I know. I just feel like, oh, this is nice, and then boom. It's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's one of those things. At the end of the day, I think this is where I'm going to stand with it. Having just done this, as the vet so eloquently said earlier to me, you got to stand up for what you believe. And if you believe that you're not being treated fairly, then you have to do something about it. I was telling Bet about the job situation, the COVID shot, and everything like that. And really, ultimately, I agree with him. I probably should have even kicked back a little bit more and stood for what I believed. But I think this is the same situation. They felt they're not being treated fairly. They're being disrespected. I did read that they were not going to be on any house shows until July or something along those lines. Yeah. So there was some things that are coming out that are, shows that there is some disrespect towards them in that aspect. Now, granted, Sasha is a bigger name than Naomi. Is Sasha bringing her along? All that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, for me, I feel like they are standing up for what they believe in, and that is it. They are suspended indefinitely per Michael Cole last night, which hasn't been said. They didn't say any kind of thing up until this point. So WWE's like, we're suspending them indefinitely, which means even if they want to come back, who knows if they will be allowed back. But this is that same thing of they believe in themselves. They're willing to put where they are on the line so severely that they go, this is it. This is not about a belt. This is not about this title. It's about the fact that we aren't being treated properly and we aren't taking anymore, and we're standing up to you against that, despite what could happen. And so at the end of the day, I respect him for that. Is it necessarily the right thing? I don't know, but I respect him for that aspect of standing up for themselves and saying, we don't like what's happening. This is what should be done. We're going to do this, so you get to deal with it. And that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not willing to stand up for yourself, the company, we know WWE's not. So let's have them stand up for themselves and go, this is what we need to do to protect ourselves in the long run. And I've heard everything from like Naomi and Sasha are just divas. Naomi's ruining Jimmy's push. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? No, she's not.
That totally got ruined last night.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, bullshit. No, this is her standing up for herself. And I guarantee you, being married to Jimmy, she's talked to him about this. You don't do this as a couple without the other couple knowing. And, that he has to have said, I support you 100%. Whatever you choose to do, you do it, because as a couple, that's what you do. If you're a truly committed couple, you stand up for your spouse and what they choose to do, and you support them in it, And so going through all this, we do know, I know that Sasha's husband has stood up and said some things too. And same thing. The spouses knew. They're still employed by WWE, although I think Sasha's husband is probably going to be a lot easier to let go than Naomi's. But being a seamstress versus the unified tag team champions, it's a little easier to let go of a seamstress than it is, a champion.
A seamster, if you will.
Oh, seamster. Sorry, pardon me. But but at the end of the day, again, it's that respect of yourselves. I'm going to stand up for it because we know this company isn't going to do it. So let's do what we feel is right. And you got to respect them for that, really, at the end of the day.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, John had the right answer. So, James, all you have to do is copy it, and you'll be right, too.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you boys. I knew you could do it.
Something I want to kind of talk about that kind of concerns me is the sort of the aggressive approach that WWE have taken on this. It's very rare that you have, nowadays anyway, it's very rare that you get a lot of backstage happenings and drama, discontent and anger that plays out like this. We've heard storylines, we've seen things like this happen, but this is WWE going out on social media, live on television as well, and making a point and saying these talents have been unprofessional, they've let the company down, they've let you down, the fans, they've let them sit. All of these things, they're very aggressive in the whole try to tarnish their name, try and say like they're the ones that are in the wrong, they're the ones that are doing the damage. Like, I don't quite get why they're doing this. Like, I know there was chat of I think it's either Sasha Banks or Naomi, their contract's running down in the next couple of months, but there is a rumor that they might try and freeze that depending on how long the suspension goes. Then what's to gain from that? Like, what are you trying to get here? Are you trying to like lower their stock as much as humanly possible, so if it does get to the point where their contract runs out, they go to an AEW or Impact and they're supposed to go, you're unreliable, you done this on this one episode of Raw and walked away? Or are they trying to play the game where it's once this all blows over and then it gets to contract negotiation time and they are interested in keeping them, but now they've got a card now, you say, well, look at this situation that happened in May. We can't pay as much as we did then, can we? Because you're not worth that as much as that. Like, it sounds like they're really trying to do more damage to them and protect themselves. Sometimes you got to take ownership of the situation. Like, why is this happening in the first place? Why are your talents that angry with your creative team, your production staff, to a degree Vince? Sounds like they did talk with Vince, but it just didn't work out. But those things where it's like it's driven them to the point, and it sounds like it's bubbled for more than just a day. It's not a one-day thing. This is, as you say, so much has been thrown into this. This is the tip of the iceberg, that they're now willing to just say, fuck it. there you go. There's the belts. We're away.
We're not them.
We're not doing this anymore.
Not just them. How about Tony Storm? How about Jeff Hardy? Jeff Hardy literally walked out in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm no fan of Jeff Hardy, but that's beside the point. The point is he felt the way he felt for a reason. Tony Storm felt the way she felt for a reason.
And Jeff Hardy was a good example as well, because lo and behold, Jeff Hardy does that. WWE have tried to make it out like, the rumor was that it was issue with substance abuse again and all this.
Yeah,
they were happy to let that lie. All of a sudden, he gets his drug testing back. It's negative,
right? Well, so when you tie that into the question that you're asking now, why did WWE do this? Because they're fucking children. Mm-hmm. That's why. Like, we're not unprofessional. You're unprofessional.
Yeah.
You know, let's not talk.
You don't leave. I tell you when to leave.
We didn't even want you in that match.
Fired.
Yeah. You didn't leave. You're suspended. That's why you're not here.
Yeah.
We hold all the cards. Dude, come on. This is exactly what I've been talking about the entire time. Like, this is who these people are. They're fucking children. They're children in charge. And what's going to happen when you try to reason with a child? They throw a tantrum. You saw, I'm sure, or heard the series of tweets that was done by like somebody. Basically, it seemed like they were being fed the information by one or both of the ladies, and then they were just tweeting out on their behalf on whatever account. I forget.
Quite a read.
I forget who that was. If you guys know, but anyways, a lot of stuff that I was hearing in that, I was like, I could totally see this. This sounds accurate. This sounds like there's no reason for them to make it up. It sounds like they wouldn't have even gone to this level if it wasn't for the whole, WWE press release calling them unprofessional and these other things and trying to make it seem like they just didn't like the match they were in, so they walked out, which obviously is not that.
Right.
They mentioned going back and forth between producers, Vince, completely asking logical questions, which you can imagine, like everything that they were talking about. Well, we're the tag team champions. Why are we in a singles competition? Why are we not doing anything with these tag team championships? Blah, 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 and asking these questions of why. And people in charge don't like being asked questions because then they have to answer it. And they hate that. So that sounds completely reasonable to me. And anybody that's ever worked in a job where you've had to try to deal with middle management, upper management, try to run things up the flagpole, get jerked around and stuff like that. And then at the end of the day, when you're trying to bring up a concern, you're the problem and not them and all the stuff that they did. Now, which one are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the fucking carnies in business suits saying that these two ladies are unprofessional after everything that they've done for you? I admitted you've done for them as well, but it was just a case of you put it in front of them and they had to play their hand. They dealt the cards and the kids had to play the hand, and they've done exceptionally well. You going to believe those guys, or are you going to believe the two people that have more in common with us, like the working men who have to deal with this kind of bullshit all the time? I would love for them to have named names, because I would have loved to hear who the producer was that walked off and stormed off and blew up at them and stuff and called them, said, fix your attitude. I want to know.
Bruce
Pritchard.
Bruce Pritchard's
going to be out there. I know that at one there, I heard Molly Holly's name touted, but it wasn't to do with that. But I think they were part of the production staff on the night. So, but I don't think it was her. She doesn't strike me as someone who would have that sort of thing about her. So I would agree, Pritchard or Laurinaitis.
Sure. Well, maybe not Laurinaitis, because he's usually stays out of that kind of stuff as much as he possibly can. And he's also not the guy that's going to blow up at him and storm off. Doesn't have that. If he had that much charisma or whatever, he would have been a better performer. He's more like a Weekend at Bernie's type reanimated corpse, kind of a guy.
Well, it does sound like something that like you'd have Pritchard doing his podcast. You'd kind of just bring it up right there and then. It's like, it was me, and you had this thing.
But that's the thing, is he is very staunchly not talking modern stuff on the podcast. Yeah, they specifically talk about that, how they're not going to address anything, which is surprising. It's surprising, and I mean, because I listened to this week's thinking, Okay, well, here we
hanging
go.
fruit, isn't it?
And no, they're talking about the stuff from the 80s, the 70s.
Yeah, they never talk about the current stuff.
No,
and even when Conrad has a question that relates to these, I know we don't talk about current stuff.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, so
yeah.
Jimmy
Smith had the podcast about it this week. He was just like, I had no clue until it was literally
how professional is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just in these situations, like I'm always gonna side with the talent. Always. I wouldn't always do that when it comes to other companies because I don't really know what kind of stuff goes on at other companies. It's probably similar, but yet wholly different, I feel. But being around the WWE and the periphery of the WWE and the time that I have, like it all just adds up to me. I believe exactly what they said, even if, they're coming at it from just their angle or whatever. When I look at what's being offered from the opposite angle, that just lines up with everything else that they've ever done regarding anybody in these positions. It's like, yep, same old WWE trying to shift the blame and trying to make them look like, they're the bad guys for walking out and trying, like you said, just slandering them so that other companies will perceive them as unprofessional.
But then they won't know. This is the weird thing. It's like the people who work within the companies who know these two, because there will be talents and producers that have worked with them that are working for these other companies now. They'll know them well. They'll know what they're capable of. They know their attitude and their personalities. They'll see through that right away.
Well, and you know what they say? Tell a friend, tell a phone, tell a wrestler. I mean, it's not like this is, they know everybody. It's not like it's well, we don't talk to anybody who's not in WWE. I mean, we've seen pictures of.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say that tactic would work.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Isn't the WWE isn't the epitome of the WWE just touting out something and expecting it to work just because it's WWE?
True.
They can do no wrong. I think there's evidence on this show that that's not the case. But yeah, and then on the other hand, so I would have loved to confirm that producer, and I would also like to know who the people were that when they said they went and talked to several people, about what should get their input, because they made it sound as if like they definitely were considering like we should just walk out, but before we do, maybe we should ask some other people that we trust. Gee, I wonder who those kind of people were. Do you think any of those people might have been related to them or married to them, or say the head of the table or the tribal chief? Like, do you really?
Yeah.
And if so, yeah. And if so, like if people are, I would say this, if people are getting to this point where this is multiple walkouts for Sasha now, we've already had several walkouts this year. It doesn't look like there's any reason for this to slow down or stop anytime soon, because nothing really changes. It only seems to get worse if it does. Maybe now would be a good time for somebody that does have, that is going to consider themselves the head of the table on television. Maybe they should be the head of the table behind the scenes and show some support and everything and try to get some stuff done that needs to get done around there, because the WWE has a tendency of, even though they build these guys up to be main event superstars, then they also have a tendency to forget that they're in that position because of the push, and they still lick their boots. So if Roman Reigns says something, they're going to take that into consideration. So if he sticks up for them, Sasha and Naomi or whatever, and it has some sort of a mitigation on their punishment or whatever, he's got to take that leadership role, that head of the table role seriously, and back up the rest of the boys and girls in the locker room when things like this happen. I think we shouldn't be having to hear about, you got to mention something about, the talent walking out, because you got to explain why they're not there, or why you started advertising them on an episode of Raw and then you had to switch gears in the middle and say, oh, just kidding, they actually left. I think that the real locker room leaders have, if anything's going to change there, they've got to be the driving force behind that, and they've got to. They can't just be like, well, I mean, I can't jeopardize my spot because they walked out. You're talking about, you're related to Naomi. I heard people saying that, like, well, Sasha's a big star, but Naomi, and I'm like, motherfucker, that's Roman Reigns' cousin now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? She's got just as much backup. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I like to see that. I like to see that from the so-called head of the table. I'm calling you out, Roman. Be the head of the table.
Yeah. No, I mean,
do something.
I mean, because it does affect. I mean, Jimmy and then just the whole family there. It's a very interesting dynamic of what goes forward from this point forward. I think, and I think, the interesting aspect is that they stood up for themselves, and now it's. I think honestly, it's going to be one of those things where this could divide a locker room. Where you have some people who are just like, "Hey, I'm not going to lose my spot." Then you got other people like, "You know what? Fuck yeah, we need to stand up for this. This isn't right. This isn't, something we should have to deal with." So, could this be a locker room divider? I mean, Vet, I've never been in a locker room for wrestling like this. So, if anything like this ever happened, could this divide a locker room for a company?
I think it can, but maybe not. Maybe in the way you phrased it, where it's not that the guys aren't on their side; it's just that they don't want to lose whatever they got.
Right?
Yeah. Do you think
because if you openly show support for them somehow, then you'll get targeted by the office if you're less than.
Right.
Apollo Crews better not say shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's got to be Roman who steps up and handles that aspect of the business, so that anybody else can feel like empowered to, not that they have to come out and get on a soapbox and start preaching to everybody, but just that they can feel like, okay, well, if I can stand up for myself within reason, of course, that has to be said as well, because yeah, the WWE is a business, and yeah, they have the things that they want to do their way. And yeah, there's a certain responsibility to, to have to just carry out the orders that are given to you. But as you guys have pointed out, this is not an isolated incident. This is more of a straw that breaks the camel's back type of thing. And they're actually standing up for the business, the money aspect of the business, and the marketing and things that would make a better program, a better product. They're trying to ask the questions that they don't feel that the office is taking into account. Like, hey, what about these tag team titles? And as I pointed out, which doesn't get brought up from what I keep hearing all week, I'm the only person that brought this up, but lest we forget, the only reason that there are women's tag team championships at all is because of Sasha Banks and Bayley. So they take this much more personally than if it was just something that's like, oh yeah, we just have these tag team championships. Oh yeah, we're going to put them on you. Oh yeah, we're not going to do anything with them. They'd probably just be like, okay, whatever. But because it's Sasha's baby, she's sticking up for it more than she would something else.
Right.
So, and that matters because as we talk about how difficult it is to just get an answer to a question here, now imagine trying to get a title belt implemented.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Think of that. And you want to do all that for nothing, just to be told that it doesn't matter. Well, it's more of a principle situation now.
Right.
It's not just a matter of, I didn't do what I was told, and so there's a lot more to it, that I think people that take a simplistic view are just not, they're just not taking into account.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Well, gentlemen, it's 10:30. I've got to start making my way out. But man, this was great conversation. I appreciate it. Vet, as always. You bring just a perspective that we don't have. So thank you for that, sir. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, talk to y'all later. I'm heading out to go support my friend Jackson Stone. They're having his company Experience Wrestling. It's World Diversity Day, so we're gonna go watch wrestling. There's going to be some intergender matches. There's going to be Holiday that is facing somebody, and I'm sure is going to kill them. So there's going to be lots of good matches going on tonight, this afternoon.
Now, James, I'm sure you'll agree with me. John, don't headbutt anybody. Okay, at this show.
Yeah. Well, no, if they put their hands on me, I'm going to headbutt them.
Even if they just flip your hat off, even if they just flip the hat off, you're still going to headbutt them.
I'm gonna.
He hit me
with the glasses too.
Oh yeah. Well, the glasses will come off. These are just from my computer when I don't like it. So I take the glasses off, and so then it's on like Donkey Kong. You put your hands on me, we're gonna have some problems now. But I'm not that kind of guy. I'm normally not that kind of guy. But
okay.
you know, I did see that. That was where
didn't even get touched as well, which is the worst part. It's like he hit me first.
Yeah,
he hit me first.
yeah.
Like, did he fuck?
Yeah, yeah. But that's the question. Is like, I guess that's one thing I did want to ask you before I left. Is you know, that incident right there. So the moment. So normally it's the fan jumping the line, but when it goes the other way, you know, does the fan have a right to do what he did? You know, I mean.
No right. There's no right to do it.
I'm just
if
saying,
you felt you're in danger, you have the right to defend yourself, of course.
Right.
Technically, a hat flip is considered an assault, but and no, he shouldn't have done it. Like, but that's, you know, especially we're not trying to act like wrestling's real anymore, so I don't know even why people put themselves in these positions. But I know as a fan, if I go to a show and if I was wearing a hat and I was trash talking a wrestler for some reason, like I ever would do that. But if I did and someone flipped my hat off, I would consider it like, yes, I won.
Right.
Like, that's what I wanted. I thought I'm now part of the show. I got attention, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to goad him into a fight.
Right.
So, and I think most people probably feel like it would be an honored, like to get a wrestler to flip their hat or tear their sign or something like that. I think the majority of fans would feel that, but there are the ones that are rowdy and trying to start something. So I think this was one of those.
Yeah. Well, because so WrestleMania weekend, I kind of did a bit with the Savage Gentleman and Lady Frost and then GPA and Lady, where when they came out, I'm cheering, I'm all excited, and then GPA and Lady Frost come out, I literally pull out a newspaper and I'm reading it during their entrance. Right. And I'm like, are y'all done yet? This is boring. And then so at one point, gentleman says, "Hey, is there anything good in the paper?" I was like, "Yeah, there's great brunch spots in Fort Worth. You know, we can go get brunch." and so like GPA comes over and he takes the newspaper because they didn't tell him that I was doing that because of course I was with Frost and them. We were in the car. They were talking about the match and everything, and I said, "Hey, would y'all be cool for your, you know?" I talked about this whole thing. They're like, "Yeah." I said, "Don't tell them." They're like, okay. So GPA gets pissed and he pulls the paper and he crumbles it up and he's all mad and everything. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man. I got him. You know? So like, I mean, I get that. That's the whole point.
You tell them after that though.
Oh no, they told him after. Yeah. No, they told him after it was a plan. Like when they went to the back and he said, "Yeah, GPA lady, we're a little hot with you," but then we told them what you did, and they laughed. They thought it was hilarious, you know. So because nobody's ever done that to them, so it was great, you know. So you know, yeah. So I mean, I've been on that aspect of it before, but like at the same time, you know, I also understand it's a show. You know, if a guy wants to flip my hat, I got him. That means cool. I got him to break character. He got frustrated, and you know, there it is. If he wants to take my newspaper, or he wants to rip my sign, or whatever,
right?
You know. That's the whole point as a fan.
But you're smart, though. You're smart. And most fans, even if they're not smart as you, they still like get it. Like, you know, or they're just too mild-mannered to do anything about it. Whatever the case, you know, but just to be clear, to any independent wrestlers or even any major league wrestlers that are listening to the Smack Attack, because I know you all are, just err on the side of caution and don't fucking touch anybody in the stands, please. Okay, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Not worth it. Because that little bit of interaction, like what John's talking about, that's not worth the other side, which is you get embarrassed and look like, you know, an idiot and could potentially still get sued. So just don't do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that said, gentlemen, I will bid you adieu. Y'all have a great rest of the show, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
All right. Yeah. Goodbye, sir.
Later, my friend.
Love you.
Man, I thought he'd never leave. Okay, now it's just us.
Just the two.
All right,
hey,
let's get to the meat.
Hey,
what? Huh?
He's straight in there. No, take no piss. Well, he's conveniently left us in the mud here because he has left us with a bit of a Smackdown review. We're going to try and keep this a bit swift. I've got a bit of a time stamp.
Sure.
Well, I've got it now. I've got about an hour at most. If I stretch it to an hour.
Well, that's more than we need because let's face it, I'm not going to have a lot of commentary on a lot of this stuff. James,
absolutely not. I'll tell you what, though, it wasn't a bad Smackdown.
It wasn't a good Smackdown.
It wasn't a good one, but it was better than what we had. Like there was at least something. At least things were worth talking about on this Smackdown. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing.
Let's play a fun game, Jimmy.
Oh, no.
Let's play a game of, because I fast forward this entire show.
Really?
I cannot watch a SmackDown in normal speed.
Nah.
So when I say fast forward, I don't mean I skip everything. I saw it all. I heard it all. I just watch it twice as fast because I have to. Yeah, I get an hour lunch break. I can fit in an episode of SmackDown. Okay,
Just squeeze in.
right. Well, I wouldn't have had time otherwise, so I didn't even have a choice. But
Yeah, I respect that.
I did take it off to move to normal speed on 2 things, and I will let you guess which 2 things they were as we roll along.
Right, so I can kind of. Can I guess it now, or do you want me to kind of say it right?
You can guess, but I won't. I may not necessarily tell you if you're correct or not.
Okay. Main event. And Nakamura and Sami Zayn.
Okay, his guesses are in.
I'm going
And
with
after
this
each segment, I will tell you whether this was the one I stopped on or
too.
not.
See if it's the first segment. I watched this promo. It was really good. I'm like, fuck off. I'm done. I'm out.
Yes.
Good. It was a good opening promo, though. Don't have to really dwell on it too much because it leads into the main event quite nicely. A pep talk, a prep rally, basically, for the Usos coming in.
Well, I had to fast forward this because that alone was longer than most.
You have to go the entrance, then the recap packages, then the intro of the show. It goes on for too long.
Right. it's a long entrance when they fit a recap into it, and you didn't really miss anything in the entrance.
Yeah, we didn't even miss anything for the last 3 weeks. Really?
I know. Yeah.
Man.
And who is the guy, by the way? Who is the guy that's like, oh man, I missed SmackDown last week. Well, I didn't hear anything or look at anything all week long. I'm just waiting for this episode to catch me up. Okay, Here it is. Oh, thank God they did the recap. Oh, good, because I was worried. Yeah. I could have asked somebody, but I didn't. I just waited. I trusted them to tell me. Like, if that person exists, that's a sad existence, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, Butch and Xavier Woods could have got an extra couple of minutes tonight if it wasn't for these bloody recap packages. But it was pretty much just a big pep rally for the main event, setting up the Unified Tag Team title match. Paul Heyman spent a lot of time talking about the island of relevancy and saying that Usos have to prove themselves. They're the best tag team of SmackDown versus the best tag team of Raw. They're going to war. If they don't win, then they will not be welcome on the island of relevancy. And then Roman Reigns did this weird thing. It was like, Usos, twins.
Yeah.
I'm hard on you, but it's because I love you. And then they hug it out. End of segment. Moving right along.
So now, as I was watching this on my phone, I pulled out a newspaper, actually, while this was going on in the ring.
Betty John.
Yes. They couldn't hear me heckling them, but I was still reading the newspaper.
Hey, I got a nice brunch spot for you.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass because, like, getting a newspaper takes effort now, So, like, I had to, like, get up.
Does. I've given up newspapers.
Yeah, well, who needs them?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, and as I was watching this, and fast forward, of course, this was not the first thing I stopped on. But I was thinking, like, because I hear people say all the time, and I would tend to agree that this is the best thing that WWE has right now, right?
Easily.
And I look at, like, how we got here with the bloodline and stuff, and even that, the story of that was just so lame and made no sense. It was like Roman Reigns beating up the Uso kid for, like, however many weeks, and then he just decides, okay, I'm just going to join him. Like, there was no revelatory moment. There was no, like, build or payoff or anything. It was just like one day he was like, I ain't going along with this Us. I ain't going along with this Us. All right, you know what? You are the head of the table. Like, what? You just on a dime?
I'm the right hand man.
Yeah, just.
And then his brother comes in, doing exactly the same, right. And eventually he just breaks it.
Yes.
If I remember rightly, they had all these matches, and then Reigns just went, "Look, man, I'm doing it for your brother."
Yeah.
Okay. I'll join.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. I guess I'll join. Like, this is so stupid. So even though it is the best thing in wrestling, how we got here is still so shitty, and they've been treading water since, since the first time I ever came on the Smack Attack with you guys.
Wow.
I think we were talking about it, how they were already out of ideas. Back then.
Yeah, well, they are having to drag this out. Like, the fact that it took to this point to do the unified thing when they were already like they had it teased out the gate, and then we got to Backlash, and the week before it was like, never mind, we're going to do a 6-man tag instead. You couldn't. That move for me stopped me from watching Backlash. I'm perfectly honest. There was no reason for me to tune into that whatsoever. You knew it was happening. It was repeat matches. The new matches weren't interesting enough, and you had this 6-man tag, which blew about a month to build for a tag title match that we got tonight. That we're probably gonna have to get a rematch out of Hell in a Cell. Weirdly set up Riddle as a potential title contender for Reigns, I thought, out at the end of this, but we can get to that towards the end. Right. Yeah, but it was a bit of an odd. Fair enough. We set up the main event and we move on. Sure. First match of the night, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. I like this match.
Like
not quite their NXT takeover when Nakamura
nothing will be.
Debuted.
Nothing ever will be. That's one of the few perfect things WWE's done in the past 10 years.
But boy, these two can still have a fun match if they want to. They've done really well. Some good offense, good striking action, very quick paced for a lot. To be fair, a lot of these matches were quick paced in the sense that they had minutes rather than like 10 minutes or anything like that. It was like, here's 5 minutes for you. Show us what you can do. Very reasonable match. I'm kind of curious about the Sami Zayn bloodline thing though. That's surely not going to stick much longer.
The match is what it was. I barely cared. Like, let's be honest. I just can't.
You fast-forwarded this one?
Yeah, this was not one of the ones that I slowed down, Jimmy. This was not where I stopped the tape.
See, if this turns out to be Gunther, I'll be raging.
Okay, well, we'll just hold on now. So, yeah, it was a fine match. I don't even have to look at it to know it's a fine match. Look, you got Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura. They're two of the best. So why wouldn't it be? And the fans seem to be into it, and that's all great. The one thing I noticed more than anything else, right, is this little bit where, to your point, Shinsuke Nakamura comes out as the bloodline is leaving.
Yeah.
So he walks past them all, and they just look at him, and nothing happens. It's like, okay, boring, right? Nothing done there, really. Then Sami Zayn comes out, right? So what I would be thinking is like, have it the other way around. Let Sammy come out first of all, so he can walk by the bloodline and sort of like do his little Weasley ingratiating shtick. It doesn't even matter if we hear what he's saying. You see the interaction and you can see him do a bunch of stuff.
Maybe
and
give
then
like one of the uses a hug.
Yeah, and then just see them just be like,
whatever, man.
Okay, whatever, man. Like exactly what they would do. You get more out of that than just walking by the guy that they beat up and just having him do nothing. You know what I mean? So like even those production choices that they make are just so like they're so lazy and terrible. There's nothing exciting, interesting, innovative, creative. They're not doing anything to get people in. They are just treading water. Week after week after week, they're treading water. They're not advancing shit. It's boring. The whole thing is boring. I don't know how anybody could watch this in normal speed. I don't know how anybody could watch it, period. I understand it because I have a problem. I have a blood disease. I have to watch wrestling. So, but it's specifically so I can sit here with guys like you and talk about things like this. It's almost like me flexing, just showing that I saw that little thing that they did and they could have done something else. You can't see that. You can't do that stuff if you don't watch.
Yeah. But it's those little things that make such a big difference, though. That's why, like, films and TV shows are really good because there's little nuances that you pick up on, and you might not notice it at the time, but then a wee while later on, that becomes a big part of what's going on later on. That's what's great about these things. And you're right. If they don't try and mix up the nuance with the whole hashy-bashy approach that they take, then it is boring. It is treading water. There isn't anything that will improve it. You're just going to get the same formula over and over again. The story, you could probably predict the storylines as soon as it starts. Like, okay, wrestler A versus wrestler B. Wrestler B is probably going to attack wrestler A. They might go on a run. Then about 3 weeks later, wrestler A will come back and then attack wrestler B. They'll have a match, and then it'll continue on for about 2 months. And then their blow-off match will be meaningless because they've already had about 8 matches up to that point. Those little things. I mean, I'm not just using Xavier Woods and Butch as an example. But that's pretty much along that process. Veer Mahan, there was another one. Took out the Mysterios on his debut. Then they disappeared for ages, and he just had meaningless squash matches with people. And then the other week they reappear, and here we go. We got a feud. It's like, He's just going to smash them.
Out of how many weeks did they tell us he was coming? Like 6 months or something, and then that is the time you could have been having those squash matches instead of just telling us that he was on his way. You could have had him do the squash matches because he was there in the building. If you even that, you notice? Did you see on Monday Night Raw this past Monday when Veer came out? His paint that he used on his forehead, it wasn't even like the lines anymore. It was just two white solid smears. Like, fuck it, just get out there. I don't have time for this shit. Nobody cares about anything there anymore.
It's such a shame though, because there's something in there with Veer. There's something about him.
Sure.
And some of the stuff he put, the best thing he's done, and I swear on my life, this is the best thing he's done. I'm not even joking when I say this. He put out a tweet. It was during the whole sort of coming phase, right? He put out this tweet, and it was him in the gym. And he took the microphone and he was like, "Time to go home. The gym is closed. Get out of here." Like, just proper being angry. It was like, "No more training. Go home. Gym is closed." It was like proper intense. It sounds so stupid, right? But you could believe him being aggressive enough. Like, who's messing with him when he says that? No one's messing with him when he says something like that. Like, out you go. And it was just, it was funny, but it also kind of sold his character really well. It's like, if he can do that on his own time and said, "Mate, can I borrow that for a second? I'll film it while I'm doing this, by the way." And you get a reaction out of that. And then he's doing the tweets where he's in IKEA and all this stuff. It's like, you've got someone there that could probably do something for you. And here you are just wasting his time. That's really what we're doing. We're wasting time with him. It's like, the Mysterio thing, great. But if you want them away for a while, fine. But you need to bring someone in to fill the gap for the next wee while. Bring in a friend, an ally, and have them sort of fight the fight for them. So when Mysterios do come back, he's already heated up. He's always got some heat. He's fought a name. He's fought a talent. Not total strangers, because we don't know what he's about now. Great. You took out a couple of the Mysterios for a while, and now all of a sudden you have one match with Mustafa Ali, and suddenly we're supposed to take you seriously.
Right. But one more thing about Veer. Have we noticed that the man has feet the size of Sideshow fucking Bob from The Simpsons?
Oh my god! By the way, it's massive.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, besides this clown shoes guy, that's on Raw. We don't need to be talking about that. Yeah. Media says Veer was too busy getting beat up by Apollo Crews and others on Main Event. Shh!
No, don't talk about that.
Anybody about Main Event. Main Event doesn't exist. Nobody. No, stop it. Everybody, don't go to Hulu. Don't go to Hulu right now and look at Main Event matches with Veer. He was on his way the whole time. He was not there already.
They're the Sony side of the Marvel universe. We ignore that. We pretend that doesn't happen.
That's the Morbius of.
God, that.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, and then the other thing, just quickly about Rey Mysterio, it's like, hey, you know that guy you put on the cover of the video game to sell video games? Get him off TV. Get him off TV. This is the shittiest fucking company. If anybody doesn't take Sasha and Naomi's side, fuck you.
Yeah, it's right there, plain to see. It's so blatantly obvious. Could have got anyone else. No, Rey Mysterio, and then we'll just get rid of him on TV. That'll sell video games.
Just put Veer on the cover.
Yeah, that would sell. That would absolutely sell. Funny to talk about clown shoes though. The next segment, Happy Talk. Corbin was not in a good mood. To be fair to him, it was a lot better promos because he wasn't happy or smiley or anything. He was just a dick. He was talking about Madcap Moss saying, "We used to eat steaks. He was living the good life. He was my protege. He got to eat steaks. He got to fly in private jets because I paid for it. And now he's having any steaks he has, his nurse has got to cheer it for him." And then
that was the only good line he's ever had, and someone wrote it for him.
And it was
probably Vince. I heard Vince McMahon in this promo. I don't know about you, but every promo that comes out of his mouth is like, I can just see Vince like writing this.
The big bald wolf bit was where I was like, Vince, very Vince, because it was like, he called me the big bald wolf. Maybe I am the big bald wolf
because Vince's reading level is Grimm's fairy tales. That's as far as he got in school. You can tell by him referencing Little Red Riding Hood here, and in Roman Reigns' infamous Jack and the Beanstalk promo. Like we all know as far as Vince got as far as classic literature. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but basically he said, like, I am the big bald wolf because I put him in an ambulance. End the segment, smashes up the Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy, which I'm grateful for because it just takes up space. Why they made it so big, I'll never understand. And so he's done us all a favor.
They did it as a rib.
Yep.
Do you, and now James, do you think I fast forwarded this, or do you think I slowed it down to normal speed to watch?
You butchered through this so fast.
Yes, I
went
considered
from double
skipping
to-
it, skipping
I
it
went to-
altogether.
That went from 2 to like 16. Zoom done out of the way.
I wish.
No wasted
I wish.
time.
It only goes up to 2 times. I can't go any faster when I watch. But I will say that what was I? He said something during this besides the steak line. I forget. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
He was getting better about Moss making jokes about him as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is all stuff that's just so. It's should have been. Why can't this guy walk out? Like, can he just walk out? Like, if anybody, seriously, like, you know, look, obviously I'm not a fan of Corbin's. It's not all his fault. I'm more referring to the entire idea of him and the creative surrounding him and everything. I don't care about the guy either, but it's less his fault than everyone else's fault around him. But like, if anybody should have walked out after what they were handed, it should have been him a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like, there's been so many times that he should have walked out.
He must be getting paid something brilliant then if he's just taking this on the chin. Although I dare say, this is character-wise, this is probably his better character than he's ever done, because it's actually a character. It's not just like a vanilla person. I'm not saying it's a good one. I'm not saying it's like worth.
Well, it's really just the same, isn't it? It's always the same. He's the lone wolf. It's the same. He's the king. It's the same. It's this. It's the same. He's just the same, and that's fine and all. I remember what I was going to say, which is because I'm watching on 2 times speed. He appeared to be delivering the promo at a normal pace. So I can only imagine how slow and drawn out it was like when you guys were watching it.
It was brutal. Speaking of brutal, Gunther versus Drew Gulak. This is a one-sided beating and a half. Poor Drew.
Yeah,
Drew Gulak.
Yeah, Drew Gulak, so good. I called him probably the most underappreciated / utilized guy in the whole company.
Yeah.
In terms of what he can do versus what they have him do.
How did you feel about him getting battered by Ronda Rousey and Charlotte to set up an I Quit match?
Didn't like it, but there was a way you could have done that where it could have came off where everybody got what they wanted out of it, but he came out better than it. But again, you would have had to sit there and think about it for longer than 30 seconds to do that, and they didn't do it. So he ended up looking like a bitch, which is fine, I guess. That's all they want. He's always going to be able to make chicken salad and lemonade. He's good at that. This though, you know, he's
don't really get much of a choice on this one.
Yeah, he's in this role. And do you think that I stopped on this one, James?
No.
Well, you're wrong, because I will always, if there's a list, and I've talked about this before, some of the guys may have heard this. If you heard me say this, I apologize for repeating it, but I don't think Jimmy's heard me say this. There's a list of wrestlers in the entire business that most of the time I have wrestling off to the side like radio and I sort of absorb it. But then there are those guys and gals that I have to stop what I'm doing, put the phone down, close the laptop, pay attention when they're on. And Walter's one of those. I'm not going to call him what they call him.
Yes.
That is Walter. And it doesn't matter
as well, not general. General.
Yes. General. So he is he's one of the people I will always stop and watch.
He looks in incredible shape as well now. Like he's really like, there was a thing I read, he was talking about like he lost a lot of weight, and they were asked, were you put into pressure to do that? Were you like told you need to lose? Like, no, I just want to lose weight. And oh my god, like he still maintains like the size, and he's still got the mystique about him, but he's also now fit as all hell. That just makes him slightly scarier to me.
It only place it sucks is in his head and face, because his ears stick out a little more, you know, because his head is less fat. But I mean, other than that,
very defined now.
He still looks good. They have no idea what to do with him, by the way. But I mean, and I fear for his career, but as long as he's on the TV, I'm going to be watching him, because he's one of the few people that gets it. And by the way, you know, he and another person that I don't watch NXT UK as much anymore, sad to say, but one of the people that I also would always stop whatever I'm doing to watch is Ginny. And so
his partner?
they're an item. So hopefully that means that, she can get imported too, because she could spice up the women's division, because it fucking sucks right now. It needs the fashionista. Bring in the fashionista, guys.
To be fair, you could probably take a lot of that NXT UK women's division and just hoik it over, and it would fix a lot of problems.
Do you watch regularly UK, or at least keep up with it?
A little bit. I kind of keep up here and there. It's kind of slightly off my radar, but now and again it pops up, and I can kind of catch up a wee bit.
Do they still have that? What's her name? Valkyrie girl over there?
I think so. I think she is still there. Is she in a feud with? Is she in a room with Isla Dawn? I feel like she's in a feud with Isla Dawn. I might be wrong on that there.
I suggested bring in Isla Dawn because they have this girl named Sloane Jacobs. She's like in NXT. She's like she's this pale redhead ginger, like boring, nothing happening, milk toast, lame, never gonna make it in this business. Sorry, kid. And I'm like, if you want that, why don't you just bring Isla Dawn in? If you want a pale redhead, just bring her in. She's better looking. Well, but I'm saying she's better looking, better in the ring, more charisma. Just why would you settle for Sloane Jacobs? No offense, Sloane Jacobs. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got a friend who claims we went out with her. I dispute it, but we'll see.
Sloane Jacobs?
No, I don't. Could you imagine Sloane Jacobs? Like, there's a story there.
Okay.
No, but I'll dispute that. But if he listens, he can correct me if I'm not. But this is kind of a bit of a beatdown from good Walter onto good. But I think you were saying about the direction thing. I think I kind of got a little bit of relief because when Ricochet came out to make the save, I kind of sat there and went, you know what, that's not a bad feud for Gunther. It ruins me because he's on TV now. It's not a bad feud for Walter having Ricochet, and I could see Walter holding that Intercontinental title and holding it for a long time. And if they were smart about it, which they're not, but you want to dream, you want to believe that he could do something a lot with that. He could do a great deal with that, or you could even go as to say, I know that Drew McIntyre brought up the European title. He raised the spirit of the European title and said, "I'd love to have a European title match at Clash at the Castle in Wales. That'd be lovely. Have a one-off European Championship tournament, and only European wrestlers could enter in it. Like Walter." Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Reg Holland. There's a few in there. You could probably throw a few names in there. Get some NXT names up. Get some NXT UK names up. Ilya Dragunov. You might not see him for a while because of his nationality and all that. But there's potential there. I'd like to see Walter hold the Intercontinental title, bring a bit of something to it, bring a bit of life to it. Ricochet's okay as an Intercontinental champion, but the problem is there's no one really there for him. Right. He's eventually going to get beat. You might as well have him beat to someone like Walter, who can have a dominant reign, and then maybe have a decent storyline with someone down the line. Like Shinsuke Nakamura could probably come and have a good match with them. Anyone can have a good match with Walter, to be fair.
Anybody can.
Don't let his size, don't let the size and how he works fool you. He can put on a clinic when he wants to.
Well, he works with a lot of smaller guys because a lot of guys are smaller than him. So he's known for that.
Yeah, his match with Tyler Bate, I absolutely love. I love that match so much because it's just everything you want in a sort of stand-ups, battle, fist, chops, hard-hitting wrestling, and then you've got really good technical wrestling all sprinkled in between there. It was just a nice mesh of everything. And how he's taken this long to get to this point is
because he didn't want to
move, obviously. But
I'm surprised they got him to do it.
Yeah,
to be honest,
a lot of money. There's got to be. You must sit there how much you want for this.
He don't care about that. He's making as much money as he wanted. He money ain't everything. So it must have been something. Maybe they held Jenny's job hostage. If you don't move to the United States, your girl is fired.
She's out of here.
Yeah, maybe.
But it was quite a good moment. This segment, I don't think you paused that. I don't think you stopped here.
Which one?
LA Knight comes in.
He
changes his name. Or are you counting this along with a good thing? Because
technically, I didn't get a chance to fast forward again because I saw him walk in. So I was like, all right, let me hear this. So, but I count this as one whole.
Okay,
unpause.
So this kind of gets me then. Okay, but LA Knight comes in, introduces himself, but he changed his name, which boggles my mind, especially when he's like, "My name is Max Dupree." And it's like, no, it's not Max Dupree, it's Max Dupree. You got to do the at the end of it for reasons unknown. He takes umbrage upon that. Introduces himself, and he says he's part of the Maximilian Fashion Agency. Right. I don't know if you saw this a few weeks ago, but remember he did the dark segment with Mace.
I never watched it.
It was really good. I thought it was incredible. Like, he managed to make Mace look somewhat credible, and all he did was, I'm part of this new talent agency. They're going to pick up the best talent in the WWE. We're going to do this. And he was like, oh, you see Mace, I see Face. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a total manager. He's going to build him up. Great promos. He comes in here and he says, well, I've got a fashion agency. Fashion agency, right? This is what we're doing with LA Knight. A proper classical style wrestler, old school to a degree, great promos. You could probably pair him up with absolutely anyone. Nah, we're going to just pair him up with nobodies who might look good.
I don't know if Max Dupree knows this, but the WWE doesn't look kindly on third parties interfering in their business.
Yeah, I was going to say, agents and unions are dirty words in that place.
They're not big fans. Just ask all the people with Twitch channels and cameos and stuff like that if they're to. But all seriousness, okay, let's say something positive. Obviously, whatever this bullshit was, he killed it.
He did. He done a great job. Like, you can't deny him that.
Yes, but then on the flip side, everything else, like, what? This is so. I don't understand it, but I can only think it's part of a concerted effort to just lose every last fan they ever had and see if they can see how long they can remain afloat with no fans. Where they take, like, you had plenty of time to brand this guy and then you're changing it. This isn't even a case of like, you worked somewhere else, so we're changing your name when you come in and we're building you from the ground up. It's like, you've been this guy for like 2 years. We've printed merchandise with it. We probably got an action figure coming out. You're probably in the video game as LA Knight and all this other stuff. And then it's like, no, but we're changing it. Why? Yeah. Why? You could have changed it when he came in. It could have been Max Dupree the moment he stepped off the street and signed with you guys. Why did you make him be this other thing? Same thing with Walter. You could have been Gunther from the moment that you signed the contract. They would have known that they didn't want to use your real name. You weren't fooling anybody. So why did they let him do it for so long?
Yeah,
it's very weird. It's not like the old days when they counted on certain regional territories not being able to watch certain other programs, so they wouldn't know that somebody was a different name somewhere else. Yeah. Like, now everybody's just going to Google you.
The world knows. Everyone knows.
Yeah, they're going to Google you now. And everybody's going to be like, hey, I saw this guy. Even guys that have been brought to WWE TV from, like think about Grayson Waller when he showed up on Raw a couple times to do the thing with AJ Styles. So now we've seen him as Grayson Waller on Raw. And if he eventually ever gets called up, they're going to change his name to something else.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and the fact is they're changing their names for worse names as well. Like LA Knight to Max Dupree is now, like, LA Knight is a million times better. It also sounds like a proper agent's name as well. Like LA Knight, that's something you fire out a card with, your business card. LA Knight agent, boom. Like Max Dupree, here's my present card. I'm not taking your business card. Oh, I'm not.
I wasn't a fan of LA Knight either, but.
Yeah. I accepted it a bit more. I was willing to accept it a bit more, but that was just terrible.
I didn't know I would ever miss it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, next two segments, I'm going to put some good money on that you have fast forward both of these.
Let's see.
It is Raquel Rodriguez versus Shotzi, formerly known as Raquel.
Unpaused it. I watched this match. I gotta always, whenever Shotzi's on the screen, I'm captivated. It could be because it's going to be good or bad, but it's going to be something, and I got to watch it.
She did a good job of getting a bad beatdown. She did there. It was a good match. A good showcase for Raquel Rodriguez. I suppose she got somewhat of a story going into this. She got her debut, quick match, then had an all right match with Ronda Rousey last week that's brought up the ire of Shotzi Blackheart. So at least we got a reason for this match. It wasn't just a random, here's someone, beat her. It was a proper, I'm not happy. You got ahead of me. What's that about? You've only been here for 3 weeks. I mean, we haven't seen Shotzi or Xia Li.
Right. They just have to come out every once in a while. Maybe they'll get more opportunities now that there's 2 open spots. But let me just real quickly say that, Shotzi's another case of somebody that's completely miscast in their role. Whatever you think of her, like as a wrestler or whatever, fine. But put that aside. She's the ultimate babyface, and she's got 100 gimmicks, and she should be a merchandise machine, if nothing else.
Yeah.
It's not just about what they do between the ropes sometimes, obviously, but it's like who you can inspire to buy a ticket. And she seems like the kind of person that, like, young girls,
your kids would say, I want to go see her.
Yeah, yes. Young girls at least, and certainly some boys and adults and everything, like they can all relate to on whatever levels. Like if they like the fact that she likes horror movies, that's probably why Elizabeth would like her. But and she's not just a poser that says she likes horror movies. She knows what she's talking about. But yeah, just the toys, just the merch, the rub on tattoos. Forget Cody. You could be selling Shotzi tattoos. Just all, but we've been all, the helmets, sell one of them helmets, sell the toy ones for like $30, sell the replica ones for like 200. You know what I mean?
Hot Wheels version of the tanks.
Yes, all that stuff. Like, come on, guys. This is what I'm saying. Like, that's why when I hear these marks, when they say shit like, oh, it's a business, bro. It's a business. Whenever they talk about somebody getting released or whatever, it's like, yeah, but they're not looking out for their business either. Don't throw business at me. When they're leaving so much money and stuff on the table with people and just leaving them off TV altogether. So,
it showed when she was in like the peak of her powers in NXT. She had like all this great stuff. They had her host Halloween Havoc and really kind of take the reins on that pay-per-view a little bit. She was very prominent about the build-up and certain things. She was there all over on the night. She was on the poster. It's like they knew they had something with her, but then they bring her to WWE, waste her a little bit. The Tegan Knox thing I could live with because it was like, okay, that's could be a nice, fun way for them to come in, but then the heel turn just killed it dead, and it's unfortunate. Really,
she's not a heel. She doesn't have a heel bone in her body. She's a sweetheart. Just let the people be what they are, man.
Yeah, I remember that promo when she was announcing herself as a heel, and it just made zero sense to me. It was just like, why? It's like Xia Li as well. It was like, I protected a few people. I didn't get a thanks. I will now protect myself.
Are you even a heel anyway, or are you just saying, like, and then do nothing with her? I will say this: I'm a bad guy. That's what they're going to come out and say. It's degenerating that quickly. Like pretty soon, it's just going to turn into people saying, "I am bad." Yeah, but I want to say though, I do want to put Shotzi over for one other thing, which was last week. Whenever she was like, mouthing off to Aaliyah or Adam Pearce or whoever else was standing around, like that was some of the best stuff she's gotten to do on SmackDown yet. Like she really was nailing that stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Just dropping the ball with her.
Yeah, there's
the ball pit. Welcome to the ball pit. That's one of her 20 catchphrases. Ball pit.
There we go. That'd be a winner. But she did a good job in this match. I thought she did everything she could to make Raquel Rodriguez look good. That one arm powerbomb, god damn, she just gets her up. It's like a choke slam, and just lifts her up and goes, actually, just extra stretch and just power bombs her instead. Like that's scary.
Yeah, you mean the bomb, right? Yeah. Did you notice that? Yeah. I thought that was just when I was watching. I thought that was my internet buffering, but apparently Fox doesn't like that word, huh?
It's like nope.
Okay. It is a little bit closer to their version of the F word, I guess, but I thought that was kind of the point.
Yeah, that's what makes it so enjoyable. We need innuendo in this world. We can't not, or otherwise we'll just be swearing randomly. We don't want to just keep swearing. But no, good match, really good moment. I'm safe in the knowledge then that your next match is the one. So we've got the 2 segments out of the way that you've fast forwarded.
Yes, from here on out, it's a fast forward cruise.
My God, Xavier Woods and Butch must have looked like it went at rocket pace for you then, because this is a really quick match. It was like
I think I was concentrating on my salad, staying on my fork more than I was watching this match.
It went from it was like a minute and a half of wrestling, and it was they somehow filled it with things. It was quite fascinating to watch. It was like, Okay, we've got a minute and a half. We're going to do this. We'll go right out the rope. We're going to do the drop kick out the ring. Get you back in. We'll do some chain wrestling. This. Stomp on my hand. I'll try and roll you up. Then you'll try and submit me and I'll roll you up again. It went by so fast. Fair enough. You got a minute and a half. This feud needs to end anyway. It's going on for far too long. Butch and, Rich Holland and Sheamus came out. Butch jumped Xavier Woods. Apparently, Xavier Woods is going to bring back Kofi Kingston and a mystery partner next week to help solve this situation. I hope it just Big ends. E. Could you imagine? Oh my god! If it was Big E, I'd just like, no, stop this. This is no
with the halo on still.
Just like.
And then Shane Douglas comes out from somewhere and grabs it.
Oh my god, that's a new one. I like that one. That's really good. Yeah. But okay, fair enough. But we get straight to the main event, the Unification Tag Title match. Randy Orton, RK Bro. I was going to say Randy Orton and Riddle versus the Usos. All right match, not too bad. Looks like Riddle took a nasty bump off the turnbuckle at one point though. So I just went. Although it did go a commercial break conveniently, so you never know. It might have just been a work thing, but he just went flying into the corner post. Hit the deck. Referee was just like, he used to try to no, X, doctor, stop it, go like that. That quite a lot, and then really reiterated the fact that he was hurt. It was quite a good match, although.
But even before it started, like you look at the clock and you're like, well, this can't go long
ago. Yeah.
So it's not like the match got cut short due to injury.
Well, I thought it was going to be a schmoz. I didn't think this was going to end the way it did. I didn't think we were going to get a conclusive finish to this match. And it might be because it's my birthday tomorrow. But we got treated to an actual conclusive finish. Well, not really, but a bit dirty. But at the same time, there was a point in this that had a meaning. Something of like consequence happened to end the show. You know, not just a nothing thing. Something happened. And I was like, when? Happy days. Should have happened on the pay-per-view. But
kids were crying. Like they showed several shots of children crying.
Absolutely tremendous. The first one where the woman's covering his ears. And he's just like, huh? And then one kid just,
they were probably thinking about how they don't have any good Shotzi merch to buy, too. That may have played a part in it.
I do feel bad, but at the same time, the absolute ruthlessness were like, yes, children crying, we've done it, congratulations boys, high five all round.
Or what about this I heard about this, and obviously I don't pay close enough attention a lot of times to notice, but did you hear about the thing about where like not only are they boosting the audio, but they're like when they cut to crowd shots, they're using different shows. Like old shows.
Did you see the one with the Brock Lesnar guy? Like he put a thing up, and there was footage. There was like I don't know if it was a recap package.
You mean when you say Brock Lesnar guy, you mean the guy from the Undertaker streak ending?
No, it was like someone else. It was like no, it was after like Lesnar debuted. Like it was literally like 10-year-old footage, and they showed like a footage of him. I don't know if it was like a recap package or something, but it was enough that he spotted it, put it on Twitter, and he was like, "I'm not there."
Yeah.
Why am I there?
Bro, how pathetic. But how pathetic is it that that's what they're putting the effort into? Now, I granted, I know that's a totally different team of people. Like that, I bet the people that do all that great work on the production, the packages, all that stuff, I'm sure when someone tells them, yeah, can you comb through old footage and get some crowd shots? They're probably like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? But they're not going to say that. They're just going to do it. But I'm sure that they're just as disgusted as we are that they're doing it. It's like, hey, have you thought about like the show not being the shit so we don't have to fake reactions?
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Maybe actually get reactions from people.
maybe do your job and not make me do my job twice as hard. Yeah. Maybe that. Just a little something. Don't make me walk out. Dude, oh my God, if the production team walked out, WWE would be fucked. They'd have nothing left.
Oh,
no, I'm not going to sweeten your audio anymore.
Genuinely love to hear that. Like, just to see it. What would they do? You know that episode of Raw they done years ago? And it was like a mass strike. They had Triple H out there. It was like, I don't know. Then CM Punk came out, then Sheamus, then John Cena. And it was like, okay, I'll referee. Punk, you're on commentary. John Cena, Sheamus, you have a match. Okay, we can do this, guys. It feels a bit like that, like no commentators, just like the basic camera shots. Like that'd be great. I'd love
it would be, but we didn't get that, and we got this match instead. And also as the ultimate rib, they're probably going to make the Usos carry around those 4 belts. They're not going to give them like a new set. They're not going to mint a new set of belts. It's just like, no, just carry these 4 belts and just look stupid carrying 4 belts around.
It doesn't even match the color code either, because Reigns has got a blue one and a black one. They've got a blue and a red one. It's like, I wouldn't mind it if one of them was a black one and a blue one, or Reigns changed his the WWE title to a red one, which is stupid, but at least you have an aesthetic that matches, red and blue, both cutting about. But they won't do that. That will genuinely ruin me. I'm just gonna be sitting there going, doesn't match. Stop it. Get rid of them. It didn't match. To the point where it's like, just get the red ones away. Let's keep the blue ones at least. That is honestly just going to ruin me for days until something like, as you say, they just put a belt together and change it, but they'll never do it.
No, they won't do that. Then they'd have to make some effort to do that, even though
they need to break them
or
up
it would
somehow.
cost money or something. They'd have to pay somebody to design one. These designs have been rotten too. Like all the belt designs have sucked.
There's not been many good belt designs recently. Not even like anywhere. AEW's brought the women's title looks okay. Wouldn't be not my cup of tea, but it looks all right. The New Japan World title is the absolute awful Bison logo. That was terrible. No one's really doing good title belts right now, and it really upsets me. Like, I'm looking forward to the Ring of Honor title just being the most plain, like, white.
It's the cardboard with tinfoil belt that we all had as kids.
Oh my! It really is. Like, I saw the logo they were going to use for the company. I was like, no way.
That had to be a joke, right? They're not really doing that. I
hope they're not. I really hope they're not, because that would just be like, man, can you imagine that? You may as well just put the belt on a piece of paper. It just looks the same. You're not getting a belt that fits that. That would make me sad. So the belts aren't great, but we'll get there. That was the end of SmackDown. Usos holding the titles. Roman Reigns with a big old grin on his face.
By the way, where was Roman Reigns? Where did he come from?
I don't know. He just sort of like popped up out of nowhere, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure I saw him walk up that ramp. He didn't just he didn't just circle back and slide under the ring and wait and watch the show on his phone like me, seeing when it was his time to interfere.
Imagine walk back to Tag Title going, and he just crawl under the ring.
Right.
I feel
all the kids start crying early.
No,
Roman's under the ring.
Ruin it. But I would have said this is a slightly better SmackDown than what we've had in a while. As I say, things of consequence happened. The title match. What else happened? Gunther and Ricochet look like they're setting up a feud of some degree, so that was okay. Walter, sorry. So they're setting up something. Raquel Rodriguez had another good run out, which was good to see. Shotzi Blackheart done really well. LA Knight had a good promo, even though it wasn't. I'm not liking the character, but we'll see how it goes. So there was things to like about it in there. There was things to be like, okay, we've got something, we can do something with this. Whether or not they do something is always my issue right now, because as I say, we missed 2 weeks, partly because I was just, as John's probably mentioned, I was just swarmed with work stuff and other things. So I was like, I couldn't really find the time to sit down and do this. But in those 2 weeks that we missed it, I don't really feel like we missed anything. Nothing's really.
We got recaps for that.
You got recaps for days, but like the actual content of the shows wasn't substantial. There wasn't really anything of meaning or importance, or just biding time, treading water. We'll get through it. We'll get there. Something will click between now and Hell in a Cell, and then we can just do whatever from there. And this is the first show in a while I felt like they've not just tried to, there's next week. I'll sort that next week. What's about this? I'll do it next week or the week after. There was a bit of an effort to try and push things along in the right direction. There's still so much work to do on the show, though. So much work.
Well, they're not going to do it. That's one thing we can assure. We say they'll get there. They never get there. There is never here. It's always there. Yeah. That's why it's there. And when you tread water, treading water is all good for a brief time, but eventually you got to go somewhere, because if you tread water too long, you're going to get tired and drown.
Yeah.
And that's what's slowly happening. They can spin the numbers all they want. They can cook the books all they want. They can talk about record profits and all this other bullshit. Anybody with a brain knows it's bullshit and it's a smokescreen and that they're in big trouble. It's playing out. It's not just in the ratings. It's just in everything overall. And you see how they were another part of the show that we're seeing, like the advertising for live events. Like there was a spot where they were saying, "Hey, we're coming to a city near you," and I don't see anything on this show that was going to entice anybody else to say, "Yeah, let me go watch a fucking house show." Especially when you also seen viral videos of Roman Reigns at a house show saying, "I ain't doing no more house shows." It's like, well, shit. So that you're saying the one good thing I like on the show isn't going to be at the show? I wonder how many people are going to, buy tickets to that. So
I mean, how quickly did they backtrack on the whole Roman Reigns thing anyway? Because it was like the chat was coming out that obviously his new contract was coming out. There was going to be some changes. He wasn't going to work as many dates. Then his summer schedule was going to get stripped completely empty to like use it at SummerSlam, couple of pay-per-views here, a couple of shows here and there, to then actually we're going to get a bunch of shows in July, August, some in June, couple of Smackdowns here. Actually, we're going to put them on all the pay-per-views now. You might do a couple of live events. It was sort of slowly just turned it around again. It's like, actually, that was a bad idea. Sorry, Roman, we're going to have to work through the summer again. Bit of a weird one. But hey-ho, we push on. Is there anything else you want to cover before we close on off here? I know we sort of sped around SmackDown a little bit, but
I mean, whatever. It's I think we talked about pretty much everything we needed to. We covered the big news. We talked about the episode. There was really nothing else to. I don't really need to break down these sort of matches in detail and stuff and offer any singular expertise on it because the baseline of WWE is competent, at least. So from that aspect, I don't really have anything to add. Most of the people do a fine job. But as a, I usually find their programming to be a chore to watch. This one felt a little bit better. Maybe they felt like, maybe the plan was the plan always to have the unification match on this? Or is that something they threw together all of a sudden because they just had some drama recently happen on Monday and they want to try to make it up to people?
Yeah, well, I know they had the match booked for today for a couple of weeks, but the decision, would probably be probably because of what happened. I think that's the big thing. If whatever happened on Monday didn't happen, they probably just kept it simple.
Right.
Run of the mill, buy the numbers. We'll get this over the line at Hell in a Cell, which I think it still will. I think this seems to be setting itself up for a Hell in a Cell match between the two teams. So then Roman's not involved, which hides the fact that he's not going to be there anyway, guys. Nudge.
And hides the fact that you have an undisputed champion with no contenders and no programs and no prospects whatsoever.
Doesn't, does he? That's the other thing. He's got no one. Where did Drew go, by the way?
Oh, who knows? You tell me.
I don't know.
That's your boy.
He did an interview the other week.
He's getting ready for a Clash at the Castle.
Like, oh my God, that's where we're next see him.
Hey, when you heard the name of that, did you just be like, "Oh, fuck off"?
Oh yeah, I was reading, and the post, the logo for it was atrocious as well. And the other thing that got my eye,
now we can't even get the good production and stuff. Yeah. Like now even they're slacking off.
Even though that was the other thing, though, is the fact that it's like they announced this at a live event in London on a Friday night when they were doing SmackDown, which was pre-recorded. Like, I'm sitting there going, right, you're going to London to do house shows, and you're going to pick up this show. This is going to be your big launch for Clash at the Castle. But to do this, you're not going to do a SmackDown. You're just going to have them wrestle in London while SmackDown's on the telly that you filmed the week before. But you had the same talent that were on that SmackDown coming on this journey. With just bring SmackDown over, have that there in London, and then make a big deal about launching Clash at the Castle. Say, get your pre-sale tickets now. It's the Principality Stadium. We're going to do this. It's going to be a big event. Like, really make a big deal of it. But because they launched it in this weird social media way and doing it at a live event, it just felt like, no, this is not really important. Good for you. You got the Principality Stadium. You've got a massive stadium to fill. but it's not going to be a pay-per-view that's worth that stadium, is it? Especially after SummerSlam is like about 2-3 weeks before it. So what are we going to expect for this? I don't know. It's not going to be as big a deal as they want you to believe it is.
Well, don't worry, Jimmy. They're professional. Unlike Sasha Banks and Naomi, they will. Yeah. I'm sure they'll always do the right thing. What was it? Didn't Billy Body tweet out something like he got a couple tickets that cost like £910?
Yep,
something like that. And did he say they weren't even like good ringside tickets? Or
no, they're like halfway down or something like that, aren't they? They're not even. So yeah, when you get to events like that, they are getting a bit pricey, and I thought that was going to be the case. I mean, not only you got to put beside the fact you got to travel to Cardiff for this.
Right. That's the other thing too. Like people love to get the announcement that an event is happening not where they are right now. Like, absolutely. What do you expect the crowd to pop for that shit? Like, hey, we're coming to not here for a pay-per-view. Clash at the Castle.
Across the Severn to get there. Hooray! Like, I can't wait to pay my tax on the pole or whatever it's called, the toll you get over the bridge to get to Wales. I can't wait to pay that. Fuck. Oh, it's bullshit. You got to pay a toll to go across a little bridge to get into Wales. Nonsense.
Wow.
Yeah, but that'll be then. It's not far away. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for this, by the way. Absolute pleasure having me back on again. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll
call it a day. I've got to dash off and go to a family barbecue now.
Please do.
It's going to be a nice one. But thank you so much, chat. Thank you for being involved, being lively as ever. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. Thank you for everyone who's listening on Channel Attitudes. If you've not got it yet, why not? How are you listening to this right now? Probably because you've joined the live chat. You only get to see this properly live when we record this. After that, the only place you can listen to this at all is on channelattitude.com/Hammy Media Group. You can go into all things of content. We've got the Smack Attack, the Impact Attack featuring the Vet, the Next Level podcast featuring the Vet, the Monday Locker Room. Now and again, we'll feature the Vet.
Yeah,
he's done the gambit. He's done it all. Light the Fuse, the Friday Locker Room. So much more content and more. Why not spend the money on less than a cup of coffee? It's very. I think the price is really, really cheap for what we're doing. It's brilliant. So get involved. Why are you not forking out? Just help us out in that sense. Support us. If you want to listen to some free content, you can find us on the Hammy Media affiliate channels. Just search Hammy Media Group where we get your podcasts on. We've been Podbean, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Just search for us. We'll be there. There's some great content like the NFO Star Wars podcast, Suck My Balls, South Park podcast, the Academy Star Trek podcast, the one and only. It's a bit of a shame that John's not here to promote it, but what I will do is I'm just going to turn, in honor of it, I'm just going to turn the screen to the Academy one right now. The Academy Star Trek podcast, the only place you get all things Star Trek. Now, you might see why we've got this here. We might be doing some live shows eventually at some point. There is chat about that. I'm not going to speak for them too much, but I'm pretty sure I can just like, are you guys going to do it? So we're set up for it anyway. But you can find that on the affiliates channel. They've done a great episode last week. They just introduced their new segment, Trek Recs, where they recommend things that are based on Star Trek. So really take a minute to go and listen to that while we can. Great show. If you want to follow us in any way, shape, or form, you can go on to the Hammy Media Facebook group, the Hammy Media discussion group, where all things go on. Match pick'ems, live chats, name it. It's all there. Come and join us on the party there. If you want to follow the Smack Attack, follow us on Twitter at SmackAttackHMG, or you can email us directly, smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. Vet, where can we find you?
Everywhere at Opinion Haver.
Nice.
Any platform of your choice, just look it up and I'm there somehow.
Yep, or you can follow me on Twitter at Jammy McIvor. And with that note, thank you so much, Vet. It's been fantastic having you on as always. I hope we get you back on again. It's been far too long. Far too long since we last had you on. We should get you back on again anytime soon for that. Yeah. But thank you so much, chat. It's been an absolute pleasure to you. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Smackdown may be on the up, but it's going to take a long, long time. Are we in the right direction on our way to hell? In a cell in 2 weeks. And will the job situations of Sasha Banks and Naomi be fixed by this time next week? There's only one way to find out, and that's by tuning next week into another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheery!